Yesterday's market action was very bifurcated. Once again, mega caps leading the way with everything else pretty much in the red yesterday. So despite the fact the market ended flat yesterday, the actual underlying performance of the market was not that great in most of the other stocks in the index. Here's what you need to know before the bell this morning. A couple of interesting charts that are going on that I just want to kind of point your attention to. So first is the Volatility Index. The VIX had been rising here over the last month or so, and when we talked about the fact that we'd had an extremely low volatility index, and that volatility index had been rising during that sell-off that we had in September, seems to have peaked here. MACD is getting pretty elevated here. So again, kind of watching for kind of that buy signal for the markets if we're going to get this seasonally strong period of the year. We should see that MACD come over and give us a sell signal suggesting lower volatility in the market. So kind of one indicator just to kind of keep paying attention to in the markets momentarily. Do you remember that story earlier in the year? And Michael Leibowitz and I both discussed this at length. Was about the death of the dollar, right? Everybody was concerned about the de-dollarization, and we kept telling you here on the show that don't worry about de-dollarization. That's not going to happen. Yes, there were some, concerns about BRIC countries getting together, having their own currency, and they're going to get off the dollar. Again, whenever you have high inflation, you should expect those type of stories because for other countries, as we explained previously, when inflation is high, that's an additional tax on their countries, and particularly if there's a deviation between the currencies as well. So they've got to figure out some way to combat the disparity between currency exchange rates and inflation all at the same time. And so that's why there were some stories about countries trying to figure out a different way to transact business. This was interpreted to the fact that the dollar was declining at the time, and everybody's like, oh my gosh, everybody's getting off the dollar. Well, since then, we've had a very, very strong rally in the dollar. The dollar is getting extremely overbought here. So we should expect some more weakness in the dollar as we get further into this year. But right now, that dollar rally continues to remain extremely strong. Why is that? Well, that's because of foreign inflows of currencies into the US dollar. As the dollar strengthens, foreign inflows, reserve currencies come into the dollar, and basically that goes into buying US Treasuries, and that's why there's still a lot of Treasury inflows, money going into Treasuries right now. The inflows are very strong. One thing that's been driving yields higher is the shorting of the market against the bonds. So again, it's been a lot of speculators and pension funds, hedge funds, etc., shorting bonds, driving yields higher. But underneath the surface, there's a lot of inflows going into Treasuries, particularly from the inflows of foreign countries into U.S. Treasuries because of the stronger dollar. And again, this is you see this rally here, and again, we're coming back from a bit of a ways. I mean, if we take a longer-term picture, this was the concern about the dollar. We'd had this very long, protracted rally in the dollar back in 2021, 2022. We had, of course, dollar was extremely overbought here, so not surprising. You have a correction in the dollar. This brought out all the stories about de-dollarization, the end of the dollar is hedge money, etc. We told you then, not going to be a real story, but now we're back into a very bullish trend for the markets, for the dollar. And again, this is going to continue as rates remain high because that attracts inflows into U.S. currency. So the longer the interest rates remain high, that's going to pull money into U.S. Treasuries because of the disparity between rates between the U.S. Treasury, a place of safety, and every other country in the world. So again, that's just kind of what's going on behind the scenes, but that's what you need to know before the bell.